I demand you move this gate immediately. You are blocking my access.
This bridge is private property, Karen.
I suggest you check the county records. You can't just block off the creek. I have every right to be here, and I demand you remove this structure immediately.
I've lived in Willow Creek for 12 years, long enough to watch the neighborhood change from a sleepy stretch of farmland into one of those master-planned, suburban developments full of rules, committees, and people who think owning a clipboard gives them power. My property, though, is different. I'm right on the edge of the HOA border, the last original lot that existed before the development. My land runs all the way down to the creek, a slow, winding ribbon of water that my grandfather used to fish when this was all just farmland. When I bought the place, I promised myself I'd keep it peaceful, no drama, no noise, just me, the woods, and the sound of that creek. For almost a decade, that's how it stayed. Until Karen Dalton moved in. It started as a simple project. After a brutal winter, the creek's old footpath collapsed. For years, I'd crossed the water using a few stepping stones, but after the snow melt, they were gone. So, one sunny March weekend, I decided to build something I'd always wanted, a bridge. I spent hours sketching it out, 12 feet of cedar beams, pressure-treated posts, and a gentle arch design that would let the water flow freely underneath. It was private, peaceful, and on my side of the creek, my property. When I finally finished it, the bridge looked perfect. A warm golden wood tone against the green spring grass. It wasn't just functional, it was beautiful. For a week, everything was quiet. Birds, breeze, and the creak of the new boards under my boots. Then one morning, I heard the sound that kills peace in any neighborhood. The click-click-click of an HOA clipboard. "Excuse me," a voice called sharply. I turned to see her standing there, Karen Dalton, new HOA president, perfectly manicured hair, oversized sunglasses, and an expression like she'd smelled something unpleasant. She was staring at the bridge as if I'd built a nuclear reactor. "Good morning, Karen," I said, trying to stay polite. "Morning," she replied, tone clipped. "I was just taking a walk and noticed this structure. Did you submit an architectural request before you built it?" I blinked. "A what?" "An architectural request. Any major construction must be approved by the HOA board." "Karen," I said slowly, "I'm not in your HOA." Her lips tightened. "Oh, I think you are." "No," I said, trying to keep calm. "Your neighborhood starts on the other side of the road. My land predates the development. I even have the original plat map from the county, I can show you." She raised an eyebrow. "Well, the creek runs through our community, and anything that affects water flow is subject to HOA oversight." I actually laughed. "Karen, it's a private creek. The property line runs down the middle of it. I own this side. You don't get a vote." She gave me a thin smile. "We'll see about that." Then she turned and walked away, scribbling furiously on her clipboard. That's when I realized this was going to be one of those battles. A week later, I got a letter. Bright red stamp on the envelope, HOA violation notice. It read, "You have been found in violation of HOA Code 3.14, unauthorized construction on shared natural space. You are hereby fined $250 and required to remove the structure within 14 days. I stared at it, then started laughing. This woman was out of her mind. I walked straight over to the HOA office, a small, converted garage near the entrance to the development. Karen was sitting behind the desk, drinking coffee like she ran the White House. I placed the letter in front of her. "Karen, you can't find me. You have zero jurisdiction here." She smiled, that fake smile you only see from people who enjoy small amounts of power. "The HOA's jurisdiction extends to the entire creek system," she said. "You'll find it in our community bylaws." "I'll find a lot of fiction in there," I replied. "But not the law. This is private property." Her eyes narrowed. Then maybe we'll take it up with the county. Good idea, I said, grinning. Let's see who they side with. 2 weeks later, I came home to find a bright orange notice stapled to my fence. Unauthorized structure subject to removal. It even had a scheduled removal date. I couldn't believe it. The HOA was threatening to tear down my bridge. That's when I called my lawyer, Dave Patterson, a guy who knew property law better than anyone in Clearwater County. He laughed when I told him. Tom, they're bluffing. But we'll make sure they never try that again. We drafted a cease and desist letter, citing property boundaries, private ownership, and harassment statutes. We sent it certified mail to Karen and the entire HOA board. I figured that would shut them up. But instead, Karen doubled down. Every week, another letter arrived. Bridge obstructs shared water flow. Bridge violates visual uniformity standards. Bridge poses liability concerns to the HOA. Each one was more absurd than the last. Then, one afternoon, I caught Karen on my property, standing on the bank taking photos of the bridge. Karen! I shouted. You're trespassing. She didn't even flinch. I'm documenting evidence for our legal file. I walked closer. If you take one more step, I'll call the sheriff. And trust me, he's fished off this bridge. That made her freeze. She muttered something under her breath and stomped off. That night, I sat on my porch with a cold beer, looking at that bridge glowing in the sunset. And that's when I decided, I wasn't just going to stop her. I was going to make the HOA regret ever messing with me. Dave helped me file an official property boundary certification with the county, complete with my original land deed, survey maps, and historical easement records. Then we filed a complaint with the County Zoning Commission, accusing the HOA of overreach and unauthorized enforcement on private property. 2 weeks later, the county sent a letter, not to me, but to the HOA. It was glorious. Effective immediately, Cedar Grove HOA is prohibited from enforcing or regulating any property not legally within its charter boundary. I framed that letter. But the best part? The county also announced an audit of the HOA's finances, including all fines collected. When the audit results came in, it turned out Karen had been spending HOA funds on inspection drives and board retreats at local resorts. The board wasn't happy. A month later, the HOA hosted a community nature walk that, according to the map, would include the creek trail and my bridge. That's when the idea hit me. I built a small wooden sign and planted it right beside the bridge entrance. It read, "Private property, toll bridge, $250 per crossing, HOA members pay in advance." It was my own little piece of poetic revenge. The day of the event, Karen and the group showed up, clipboard in hand, of course. She froze when she saw the sign. "This isn't funny, Tom." "Oh, I think it's hilarious," I said. "You set the rate. I'm just following your example." "You can't charge us to use community property," she snapped. I smiled. "Exactly. Because it's not community property. It's mine." The board members behind her looked awkward. One even whispered, he's technically right." I folded my arms. "If anyone crosses, I'll send an invoice, $250 per person." Nobody crossed. 2 weeks later, I received an email from the HOA attorney requesting a meeting. At that meeting, Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. The attorney cleared his throat and said, "Mr. Bradley, the HOA would like to apologize for any confusion regarding property boundaries. We've reviewed the county records. You are not under HOA jurisdiction." "Good to know," I said calmly. "We'd also like to formally retract all fines and notices sent to you." "Perfect," I said, "and I'll retract the invoices I sent for bridge crossings." Karen's eyes narrowed. "You didn't actually." "Oh, I did," I said. And I filed a small claims notice for them too. Her face went white. By the time the meeting ended, the HOA agreed to pay for my legal fees and issue a public apology at the next community meeting. When they did, I made sure to attend. Dozens of residents showed up, many fed up with Karen's antics. The HOA president read aloud. The board wishes to apologize to Mr. Bradley for our misunderstanding regarding property boundaries and any undue stress caused by our actions. Someone in the crowd muttered, "About time." Another shouted, "Guess we're paying to cross his bridge now." The laughter that followed was the sweetest sound I've ever heard. Karen resigned that same night. It's been a year since then. The bridge still stands, polished and solid. The wildflowers along the bank bloom every spring, and sometimes I'll catch kids from the neighborhood waving from across the creek. Occasionally, a new HOA board member will come by to say hi. They're polite now. One even joked, "So, how much is the toll today?" I tell them, free, for nice people. When people try to control what isn't theirs, let them dig their own hole. Then send them the invoice for the shovel.